Okay, so we're going to start and allow everyone to join. Okay, so everyone joining. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Expert 2024 talks by Ilka. And we're letting everyone in and hoping that you're going to enjoy this talk with our special speaker, David Corcoran, host Gabriela Kovac speaking, and Kerry. Hello, Kerry.
Hi everyone. Welcome today. So excited to have you here. I see another Kovac. Gabriela.
I don't see so many names here. Okay.
Judith.
Excellent. Okay. Admitting everyone. And there is a recording, so if you miss anything. And oh, this will be a lovely bunch. I don't know, David, would you like to start sharing screen as we move into today?
Hi, Florence.
Hi, Carrie.
Anyone that we don't know, well, we have a couple minutes. For anyone we don't know, please do drop in the chat where you're logging in from today or where you're from. Or both. I know those are different things sometimes for many people, most of the time.
Right. Okay. And I'm just looking if there's anyone else joining today. We'll see. Okay. Yeah, so we're getting the chat box. Okay, where everyone's
from Hungary.
Okay. Nobody else yet. Nobody else volunteering. I know some of you from France. Okay, Czech Republic. Very nice. Thank you. Ireland. Excellent. Ukraine, Dublin, France, Switzerland, whichever. Right. Okay. Lovely. Okay. And David, yes, is logging in from Vienna, originally from Australia. Elborg in Germany. Okay, Surrey, UK. Very nice. Okay, so we've got a beautiful mix here, right?
Absolutely.
Of
really cool
audience. Okay, it's still letting people in. Okay, for some reason it's stuck. Should we okay? And so welcome everyone to this event tonight. And I'm very excited because it's a topic which we rarely address, yet working with our voices is so very critical. And I know David's going to say so much about it. And really, really looking forward to it because I've seen the slides, so I'm ahead of you and it's going to be fabulous. So David, would you like to say a few words about yourself and, you know, just the general intro that you might do when you speak?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Gabriela. So good evening, everyone. My name is David Corcoran, and I'm an executive voice coach and an ILCA member. So I've met Gabriela in London a couple of years ago, and it was really quite a pleasure. And it's been amazing to watch these expert talks come about. I'm originally also, as I said just before, Australian, and from until I was 35, I was a professional opera singer. So for the last 9 years, I've actually been a language teacher, now language coach, and I'm also ICF accredited, as maybe many of you are as well. So tonight, really, I wanted to share with you some ideas around the sound of coaching. So my background's been quite eclectic, but it's brought me all of these different communication skills that I'd like to share with you tonight. I'm also a Toastmaster, which some of you may also have heard of or been to. I'm a distinguished Toastmaster as of 2020, and I was one of the first and leading people here in Vienna to be the first Austrian division director. So Toastmasters have been in Austria for 40 years, but we weren't big enough. And for many years, we were with Hungary as part of a group. And so all those communication skills that we learn in Toastmasters, we might also be able to share a few things tonight. But these are my own thoughts and feelings. These are some things that I've worked with helping coaches, with helping others, CEOs, corporates, and even students where I work now. So I divide my time between 6 seconds in Europe, which is about emotional intelligence that we're going to cover a little bit tonight, and with FH Burgenland, where I'm now a lecturer in international business communication. But 10 years now, 9 years of nearly 10 of language coaching and training, as many of you are doing tonight. So let's jump into it. And I'd love to interact with as many of you as we can. So having your cameras on, I'll be able to see you doing some exercises if you wish. If we have time, we'll of course unmute a little bit as we go, but please play along at home, because there's no point standing there and listening when really you can start to actually do the things that we're going to talk about. So here's a quote for you from Maya Angelou. I'll let you read it for a moment. The human voice. Your voices are critical. And we know that as coaches, in order to pronounce words, in order to help people understand a language. But what we want to do tonight is go a little bit deeper together. This is a model that I've come up with where I really combine all the things that I've done in terms of vocal intelligence, language intelligence, and emotional intelligence. So what do I mean? I mean here our body language, not only the language that we use, but our hands, our gestures, our cultural intelligence, where we come from and how we interact with English, of course, as a common language, or other languages that you might also teach, and the social intelligence behind that as well. Being able to direct a person in a way, or guide from the side and steer them in a way that can help them really understand and grow. What I love about the ILCA approach is that we're really being coaches. We're not directive like teachers and come and learn about directions or how to catch a bus, but what activities and insights do people need? What language facility do they need in order to actually do the work that they need to do? And I think that's incredibly empowering when we think about the way in which we use our words, gestures, and the things that we do as well. So I know Gabriella and Carrie are completely motivated. I'm completely inspired actually by them and their presence. So I hope also you're learning from them as role models. And I think that's an important thing that we want to consider. Also, our emotional intelligence. So what I mean here, I just want my Mac apps to go away. Sorry about that. Emotional intelligence. Our feelings matter. How you turn up to a coaching matters. Think about what you've been doing today. Did you rush into your teaching moment? Or could you pause, take a breath, and realize that the energy that you come into that session with is pretty crucial. Likewise, your own vulnerability. Because if you're not vulnerable, I think, with your students, sharing stories or moments, I'm not a native German speaker, but I live here in Austria. So I have the language learner experience in a intimate way, and I understand the struggles that people go through. Finally, our vocal intelligence, I want us to speak to inspire. When I first had my first coaching session, my first day of coaching, someone said to me, "Why do you want to be a coach?" And the words that came out of my mouth, this is a true story, were, "I want to speak to inspire." And that's been my tagline ever since, in terms of my own development about how can I be helpful to others, to serve, and to find ways to truly connect. That helps me to be authentic and therefore to focus on others. So I hope you might see some value in a model like this. And we're going to explore a little bit more deeply tonight around this idea of our vocal intelligence. How do we actually show up? Let's think about some practical things. It's all about how we stand or sit. I see many of you are sitting at home. So I want to give you some ideas from the opera. In fact, a lot of these come from the opera. So if you watch an opera singer on stage, they don't stand there like this. Hi, and maybe they sing, "Lieben, hassen, hoffen, sagen, alle Lust und alle Qual," and just sort of walk around and do nothing. They stand in a particular posture. So we can do it together. I want you to stand up, or if you're sitting, plant your feet on the floor and put one foot slightly ahead of the other. And I want you to have your sitting bones on the front of your chair if you can. And so your shoulders are over your hips and your knees are at 90 degrees. If you're standing up like me, then you should have your knees bent a little bit and you should wiggle your hips a little bit, as if we're about to do some boxing together if we're standing up, you see. But we're not going to box our clients, but we could stand there like this. Now, in this position, we're actually setting ourselves up in a really nice way vocally. The other thing to remember, though, is that we want our chin to be down. Many of us are working online for hours and hours and hours, and we have to be careful that we don't end up kind of in this position. You know, chin is up, hands are there, crimped in the back of our necks. So this posture alignment that I'm talking about is really helpful between coachings. So you want your shoulders over hips, knees at 90 degrees, and I want you to just lower your chins a little bit as if you were about to, you just saw a really attractive person walk in the room and you thought, hello. You wanted to say a little something to them, yeah? So we want our chin to be slightly lowered. Now, let's do a quick vocal exercise though. So what happens when you lift your chin? So don't lift it so high to the ceiling, but just looking up a little bit, where you are, I want you to say, hello, my name is, and say your own name as if you're giving an introduction to something. Hello, my name is David and I'm a language coach. So you can play along at home if you're on mute, yeah? And you might hear the quality of your sound when you do that. Now I want you to drop your chin all the way to your chest. And I want you to say the same thing. Hello, my name is David and I'm a language coach.
Oops. Hello, my name is.
That's it, Victor. Very good. So did you hear a difference in the sound quality of your sound? This sound, when I do it down here, sounds fantastic, sounds very baritonal. When I lift my chin up like this, I sound like a tenor, which is what I used to sing when I sang in the opera. But the point I make, though, if you tried to keep your voice up like this, or you're singing, you're speaking in a larger room, for instance, after about 5 minutes, your voice will be dead. And we know as coaches and trainers, we want to have good vocal health. So this is why I want the chin, or suggest to you that your chin be slightly down. I have my computer set up, so I have my camera at eye level, you see? So I don't have to look up at it. I can look straight and look down a little bit to you. So therefore, trying now, hello, my name is David and welcome. I am a language coach. Try it again, one more time. Chin in a nice position, shoulders over hips, sitting on the front of your chair, and maybe even throw in some hands. Try it now. That's it, Florence. I can see you there. See others as well. Very good. So stance is really important, especially when we're tired. So if you're standing up, maybe giving a lecture, or you're working with a small group of people and you're moving around the room, try to remember to keep moving a little bit, keeping one foot as if we're boxing ahead of the other. You could even put 60% of your weight on your front foot and 40% on your back foot. It's also a way to gauge and have engagement. If you look at the pictures on the screen here, you'll see that all these people look like they're waiting for the bus. They're not primed and ready for action. And absolutely, Elborg there, if I've said your name correctly, yoga. Yes, yoga, Tai Chi, all of these kinds of martial art postures and so forth, ancient technology, but we forget it when we're at the computer, when it's, hour number 5. So if you're moving around a little bit between clients, then just take a moment to kind of realign. When I'm really tired at the uni and I've been speaking for a few hours, that's when I really move into my 60-40 and I'm really prepared. But at the same time, we also need to think about our breath. Let's put our hands here on our diaphragm. You don't need to show me that, but just put your hands here. And I want you to breathe in through your nose and tell me if you feel a little bit of movement. I hope you can. You feel a little bit of movement here under your diaphragm. Then what's happening is that when you breathe in, the diaphragm goes down. Again, yoga, small children. You ever wonder why babies don't cry? It's because their diaphragms work. We need to engage our diaphragm. So drop your chin for a moment. This is a warm-up that you can do. Maybe hand to your students if you want to, but drop that chin and just pant in and out 5 or 6 times. So really dropping into a O shape, like you're going, "Oh mio bambino caro," or not like a letterbox. That looks good, Monica. Not anyone else. If you end up like a letterbox, you don't want that. Dropping that, yeah, activating this. This is better than a quick coffee. This will enliven you. Now, if you want to add in some shoulders, for instance, you could do that too, like a That's it, Antonina, I should say. So adding some shoulder movement, yeah, opening your shoulders will also help get your breath down. So we want to open the shoulders, get the breath down. One last exercise for breath. Put your fingers 1 inch below your belly button, maybe around your belt line. And again, breathing to this spot. Can you get a little bit of movement? You'll get movement when you breathe in through your nose. So for me, it's like I've filled up with food from a nice hearty dinner. Yeah, and I'm allowing my belly to come out because my lungs up here need to move in all directions. Why is this important? This is important because we need to manage our breath. And if we want to sound good, we want to speak well, we need to manage our breath very well. Maybe you've done some exercises. We're going to have a few for you a little bit later on. So just remember breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Gesture. Maybe you've heard Vanessa Van Edwards' TED Talk, where she talks about the number of gestures that make up a fantastic TED Talk. Least popular TED Talks, 272 gestures in an 18-minute period. Best TED Talks, or more popular TED Talks, 476 gestures. Which means that when we think about language, gesture is important. When we think about our voices, I've worked with enough people now to see that when we use our hands, it makes a huge difference, even online. So when we want to congratulate someone and we say, well done, well done. Hear the difference? Well done, good job. Well done, good job. Now don't go, well done, good job. That's not what I'm talking about. Add and pair the gesture with the hand. Good job. Well done. Try it now. So pair a gesture that you might normally, pair a phrase or a word you might use to congratulate someone or to encourage them in the way in which you do it, but add some kind of gesture. 1 or 2 hands would be good. Try it now. Well done. That's it, Karen. I see, yeah, the double thumbs up. Very nice, yeah? And so, of course, our body language speaks when we do this as well as coaches. Beautiful smiles now around the room that I see as well. All of these gestures on screen tell a story. We are always communicating. We are never not communicating, as Paul Wozniak said. So therefore, it's worth thinking about, how do you communicate? Remember also our facial expressions. It's not that we're masking or putting on a poker face, but we do have to recognize as coaches that our students are always reading us. They're looking at us. Am I doing the right thing? Is this right? And so if we're sitting there, and our faces aren't lit up in a certain way, perhaps we're sending a different message. And then when we say something, our voices are not reacting in the right way. So the biggest thing I want to hand to you is that you have to take responsibility for your communication. And we can do that through these various means. Likewise, the gesture box. So you might have seen me now, I'm using my hands a lot. My hands are in the box. If I had started tonight's talk like this, hi everyone, welcome to the Sound of Coaching. I'm very much looking forward to being with you. Guys, I really think that we're going to have a great time tonight. Yeah? You see that these gestures, of course, don't make sense. There's a disconnect. You do not trust me. So to build trust, we need to understand what is the gesture box. This is especially important when you're working in person with somebody, and perhaps you're working with a larger group of people as well. This is the box from your shoulders to your belt line. You can imagine, well, there's some zones. Hands below, maybe you see people like that, like I sang before, Lieben, Hassen, Hoffen, Sagen. But if I had my hands to the box, Lieben, hassen, hoffen, sagen, alle Lust und alle Qual. I haven't done a whole lot with my hands, but maybe you hear a difference in my voice. The difference also in my performance. So getting our hands into what we call the truth zone is important. Likewise, the passion zone. So when we are excited, we say, well done, as Karen did before. You went, well done, hands up around your heart. You go, well done, or well done. So hands in this zone communicate and also change the color of our voices. So therefore, remember, where do you want to put your hands? We also have our thinking zone. So, we are in moments where we want people to think about something. So I could use that gesture. So pairing the gesture in the posture will change the quality and color of your voice. This is what singers do. This is why we spend weeks. My wife is currently at the Staatsoper here in Vienna, and she's singing an Animal Farm. And she's got to wear a horse's head because she plays a horse. And so the point to make is that she's moving all around the room to create these sensations, at the same time helping her voice find its way in this new character. And then she'll go and play a different character after that. So one little idea and tip here is to keep one hand in the box at all times. I like doing this whether I'm sitting or standing. If I'm online, I can do this as well from here. So when I am coaching someone, that's great. Now you might have your notepad, of course, like I do. You can still take some notes. Hands are in the box, showing that activity, you see. All of this changes the color of your voice. So let's get to our voices now. We've primed our bodies. We understand that our hands are important. You can find your way. Where would you put your voice on a spectrum like this? We have high and low, which is about the tone, and we have fast and slow, which is about the speed of speaking. I personally know right now, because we have limited time, so I'm in the high and fast zone. But of course, there are times where I need to be low and slow. Elborg mentioned yoga before. If somebody walks into yoga class, they wouldn't say, "Hi, welcome. Have a seat on the mat, and it's really great to have you here. So we're going to do some yoga now for the next 60 minutes, and then we'll do a meditation at the end. How's that?" You would, of course, have a moment where someone says, "Namaste, welcome. It's lovely to have you here." It changed, then we'll hop down on the mat for a few minutes. Words and intention lead to action, don't they? So there are moments where we need perhaps to think about how can we use all of these. I'm going to give you some warm-ups tonight that you can do on an everyday basis to really help your voice to understand. But what I want you to consider is, where do you position your voice normally, and where can you go to the opposite? So I demonstrated just now the high and fast zone. This is very good if I want to, maybe hurry the group along. Come on, everyone. We need to finish up the exercise because we need to now get on to the next section. Thank you much. Thank you very much, everyone. Let's now have a look at the next section. And this is where signposting. We pair this with what we might say in a presentation. So slow it down. But I can't slow it down like this. I actually have to lengthen my words, you see. So this is a little idea that we'll share now. So what I want to think about now, for you to think about, are these 4 levels of voice. And you can play along now at home. I have this fantastic microphone in front of me, so I can really bring it down like this. This is level number 4. So I want you to say a few words in level number 4, thinking perhaps you're at the opera, you're in a movie theater, you're in a nice intimate space with someone, and you want to lean over and say, "I don't like this film, it's time to go." Or, "Namaste, welcome to yoga camp." So whatever it is, find it now for yourselves. Just, it's a low breathy tone. What happens is, vocally, air is coming up through our vocal folds that oscillate like this, and they look like 2 pieces of kind of gristle here. And they vibrate. They produce that sound. So in level 4, they're kind of coming together slowly like this. When you have a balloon and you let out you add a little bit of air, or you let out a lot of air quickly through a full balloon. It's like when you go and it goes and makes that sound. That's letting a lot of air out, you see. So we want to do that. Try it now. It's just a very low, soft tone. That's it. That's it. Whoever that was speaking, I can hear that. That's good. Now, of course, that doesn't project very far, so we don't use that. We might use that in a room, in an intimate space, if we're coaching in a cafe or somewhere where we don't want to create too much noise and sound. But we can warm up our voices with this. We go to level number 3. This is our normal level. So you might say, "Hello, good afternoon. My name is David." Yeah, say your own names and just say a few things as you normally would. And we just speak on this level now. This is our regular level. And we can actually do a little exercise. Let's go from level 4 to level 3. Ah, So we're using that very breathy part of our voice and moving up to a sound-based part of our voice. Try it one more time and put your hand here on your sternum. Ah. Now, do you feel a little bit of a vibration on your hand? Maybe, yeah. A lot of ladies here, but it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. It's in the low part of your voice. Ah. Now, what about level number 2? This is level number 2. Hi. Hi, I'm David. It's really great to be here with you all. Fantastic. When I sang as a tenor, my teacher said to me, speak a little bit higher. So I'd walk around in Australia going, hi, I'm David. It's great to be here. Try this. It's really behind your eyes. And this may be, for some ladies, a regular place of speaking. For others, it's a little bit lower. So recognize, what would you say when your voice is up here? That's great, guys. You know, my 2 sons come home. Guys, how was school? How are you? I don't say, hi, guys, how was school? Or, hi, guys, how was school? With level 3. I go up to level 2. Hi, great. Well done. Well done. Hear that? Combining what we did before, words and gesture, are in this higher tone. Now, if we hang up there all the time, especially ladies, then it can be hard to be taken seriously. And many people I've worked with, I helped a mathematician win €1 million in research grants a couple of years ago. Her voice was sort of more up there. And we just worked at level 3 and level 4 for her. And so when she went in an all-male panel to present her research and apply for this grant, she got the grant. And she said it was because I was able to lower my tone and make a serious statement at certain points. So we need to recognize level 3, level 2. Level 3, hello, good afternoon. My name is David. Hi, good afternoon. My name is David. Again, we can go, ah. Try that. Ah. Someone's just done something right in your class. Ah. Very good. Ah. Ooh. There's another one. Ooh. Why not? Go a little bit over the top. This is voice number 1. So this is really high. So if I was singing, "O mio bambino caro," which is a song for ladies, by the way, so I'm not meant to sing that. So I'm imitating a lady doing that. Now, put it this way, that's falsetto for a man. For a lady, that's the, oh my God, like kind of feeling as if you were gushing. I believe it's called Valley Girls Speak in America. I've worked with only a couple of ladies, young ladies that really fall into that. Again, helping one lady she was like, hi, my name is Fiona. And she had a German-Austrian parent and then an American parent. And everything was like, hi, I don't really know what I want to do with my life. And so all this really, really high speak. And again, she's actually the one where I recognized we have these 4 levels. I was working with her, coaching with her, and I had this light bulb moment like we have as coaches. And I went, it was my aha moment for her aha moment, you see? And so suddenly we had this great idea. And so I thought, wow, here it is. We have level 4, we have level 3, we have level 2, and we have level 1. Now you see I've put dotted lines there for levels 1 and 4 because we don't use them in a professional context. But we need to use levels 2 and 3. So maybe you're someone who wants to go a little bit higher sometimes. So think about, play along and just do that now. Level 4 to level 3 in your voice. Now, what if you want to overdo it? Make it a little bit higher now. But sometimes, you know, when you yawn, you have a bit of a yawn, yeah? Ooh. Try that. Well, we start on level 2 and we go down to level 3. Ooh. Now, do you see how I'm just making sounds? Do you think you could use those sounds in your next coaching with someone and feel authentic and feel you? We're just making sounds. We're acknowledging someone. Ooh, nice. Now, before you've even opened your mouth to speak, you can make these sounds. Mm, mm. Try that. We're agreeing with someone, we're nodding, we're acknowledging. Ah, that's it. Now, do you see how that's already priming your voice? My singing teacher here, she said that one other little added advice here is to think of the word or and think of ng, like hunga for our German speakers, or gnocchi for those who speak a little bit of Italian, and just go So what you're doing is bringing your tongue to your roof of your mouth, and you create a seal. Now, you don't go and go to someone. You can now close your mouth, but you've got that seal. Mmm. Mmm. Ah. Then go as an exercise. Ah. Ooh. Ooh. Now we laugh and it's fun, and I can see Gabrielle having a nice time there. And this is the important point. It primes the voice because it doesn't put any pressure. So if you have a voice that cuts out or feels a bit raspy after a couple of hours, you need to work on this to build that seal, and that pressure then actually comes from your diaphragm. If you go and you'll feel your belly muscles start to move in a little bit. Now, don't overdo it like I'm doing it now. It can just be ooh, and you make a couple of sounds. These sounds are all part of my theory and how we use our voices. So we need to go from one section to the other. Now, I want us to think about tone. As coaches, as communicators, just as people. Maybe you've met someone. The story I tell is that one year my dad said, "Oh, hi, David, happy birthday. I put some money in your account. Have a great day. Love you." How do you think I felt after my dad said that? I felt nice that he'd, remembered my birthday the day after. And then at the same time, he had, expressed himself as he normally would. I called him out and he said, "Look, David, this is the way I speak. This is the way I always speak." It's not, but that's the way he felt in that moment. We have to be really careful as coaches with our tone. As we know, people can take what we do, and they should, seriously, but we're in a position of kind of power or elevated authority in the ways that we are. Not always, but certainly we need to respect that people will listen to us. So we have three choices. Think about someone comes in late to your class. Maybe go to a room of 4 or 5 people. Someone comes in late. Come in. How does that feel? Come in. What's my voice doing? It's going down. Come in. Come in. Monotone. Come in. Come in. Add a smile. Come in. Feel the difference for all three? So the point to make here is that we have choice. Now, this is specific, I think, for English, but when we move our voices up, we feel energized. People feel it's friendly. People ask me, why does Vienna get the rap of being the most unfriendly city in the world? And I say, it's because we say Grüß Gott, and we move down with our tone. Whereas in other parts of Austria, they say Servus. They go up. Servus. Think about Italian. Buongiorno. It goes up and down. That upward movement, bonjour, creates a sense of movement. In Australia, g'day, how are you? Now, the problem with Australians is that we upward speak all the time. Terrible weather outside. I broke my toe yesterday. Whatever they're saying moves upward. So it's not that one way is the right way. It's that we need all three ways. So you could consider, when could you use all three as coaches? Maybe there are moments when we want to go down and share a serious moment. But there are also moments where we need to move up. This is useful in presentations as well, which is where I use most of these ideas. But everything I do in my lectures or presentations, I bring to the coaching environment. And I bring to when I'm actually helping people also understand text. So for our question marks and our exclamations, we move up. For our full stops, we should go down. For commas, there might be a little bit of a movement as well. Reading facts and figures, I often say, use the monotone. Reading a quote like we had at the beginning, I didn't read it, I wanted you to, but I could read it in a monotone. If I had said, for instance, the quote here, words mean more than when what is said is down on paper. It takes a human voice to infuse them with deeper meaning. It doesn't sound like Maya Angelou when I say that. It's not respectful. Words mean more than what is set down on paper. It takes a human voice to infuse them with deeper meaning. Maya Angelou. See the gravitas and weight that that sound brings? Only because I'm paying attention as I read to monotone. So I want you to pay a little bit of attention to that for yourselves. Use all three tones. Let's think about one last thing that I want to share with you. And we're going to have a few more singing exercises before a bit of a Q&A. You can think about what we've done tonight, the interplay between breath and support in this way. We all speak. We don't need a whole lot of air to speak, to be quite honest, do we? We can wake up in the morning, speak, and it's okay. We don't really manage our breath when we speak either. We just say what we need to say and take a breath. Great. For anyone who's ever tried singing, you'll know that more air is needed. And so you actually then have to, even if you're singing happy birthday to you, or do I have enough air to keep going, or do I have to take another breath? Sometimes you can learn to go, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you. Don't take any air as you're breathing, happy birthday to you. And eventually you'll need to take a breath, because we all do, but you need to be aware and you need to manipulate your breath if you're looking in that direction. So let's try a little exercise and say, hello, my name is, and just say your names. Like, hello, my name is David. Good. And now we'll go to the other side. Hello, my name is David. And just try it in your voice. That's it, Florence. I see the Florence. I heard that almost. That's great. Now, not so useful in our coaching environment, potentially, but what we have is in the middle. Who's seen a Disney film? I love Disney films, you know, Friday night pizza night at my house. Good, I see a few people who have. I love Hercules. My boys will tell you it's my favorite film. And you hear, you know, Hercules go, Mom, Dad, I just want to do something great. In a far off place, I can see the space where a great warm welcome will be waiting for me. Do you know that scene? And they'll have a cheer, and they'll see me do this, and you know, and he's speaking, and then everything comes in, and away they go. So he starts speaking, and he moves to the middle, and then he starts singing. So in the middle, I've coined the term sing-song. So I want you to consider, for when you have to really use your voices a little bit more, is sing-song. Sing-song is full of longer words. So if I say, good morning, everyone, and welcome. Hello, how are you? I'm using longer words. I could say, hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Hear the break? Hello and welcome. So all I need to consider is, can I use longer words, phrases? Can I bring in some of the tonal variety? And can I manage my breath a little bit more? This is the secret. This is where I work most of the time. So when I meet someone and greet them for the first time, I have a discovery call with somebody. I might say, hello, how are you? I don't know if Gabriella, you recognize this when you met me a little bit now in London a couple of years ago. Maybe not, but usually people go, oh, wow, you speak so well, or you're very clear. Somebody said to me the other day, why don't you have an Australian accent in my class? And I believe it's because of sing-song that I've neutralized some of the words and phrases, and I speak in a way that can be understood, as we need to as coaches. If we're offering a good example and role modeling, we need to perhaps think more about this. So there's a place for all three again. I don't, you know, the kids don't come and, hey kids, how was your day today? You know, I speak normally as a father, but I want you to consider, where could you use sing-song and support yourselves in that? Couple of last exercises. We have our 5 vowels. Ah, say that. Ah, eh, e, o, ooh, ooh. Yeah, I see you doing it. That's great. Now put them all together. Take a nice big breath in through your nose. Allow your bellies to expand. I-o, I-o. You could do a whole bunch of things here. Yeah. Time yourself. How many I-es or oohs can you get out? But we have our consonants. Let's not forget those. P, T, K, F. P, T, K, F. These are choral exercises. Now, of course, we have bunches of other consonants, and you could work, those as well. But putting them together, we have sh, 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 sh. Great to move your breath. So when we do it, you should feel your diaphragm really moving. Sh, 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 sh. So all of these things are warming up your voice. I've got two more. We have our aua. This is from a Helden tenor in Berlin who said, think like Elvis. Aua. Do you know what that's from? Wise men say only fools rush in, and I can't help falling in love with you. So just take that. That's my tune of the week, because I finally worked out what he meant. Or you can just go, oh, throw on the hip, oh. Yeah. And so you've got this movement of your voice from kind of a 3 to level 2 atmosphere. Oh. And one more, I promised you. I've been listening to a book on rhetoric this week as I drive to Burgenland from Vienna. And the author said, yes, warm up your voice, and he gave the exercise. And of course, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Try it now. Try wherever your voice sits. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Now you don't have to be Julie Andrews, from The Sound of Music to go much further, but just that amount of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You could start with speaking. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Go to sing song. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Then you could go to singing. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And then you have exercised all three. So I'd like to encourage you to think about that, but also think about, what do you feel? So what do you feel now? I hope you feel energized and excited and interested. How can you make your learners, the coachees that you have, the people that you influence as language coaches, how can you make them feel something as well? We can manipulate our own faces, our own hands, and our voices. So remembering good posture, a good night's sleep, but a good posture helps. Then that sets up the voice in a really nice way. Then we think about what emotions we might want to feel, and then we can start to use our voices. Doesn't mean that every day it feels ready to go, but there will be moments there where we can recognize, yeah, I can use my emotional intelligence as well and help people feel something. And we know we want our coachees to feel excited, to feel ready to take on the language that you're teaching them and helping them with. And so we understand that level of responsibility. It's why this is what I bring to all of my language classes, all of my international business communication classes. When I'm teaching on cultural intelligence, or if I'm teaching on, how to write an essay, it always needs or could have some emotional intelligence elements. So to finish up, remember, it's not what you say, but how you say. Maybe you know that phrase. Actually, it's what you say and how you say it. So remember your words, remember your voice and your tone, and really warm up your voice. Know how much you can give on a particular day. Choose the correct tone. And it's really that tone in the right way, in the right posture. And I would encourage you to try out some singing. If you've got a local church choir, if you don't sing just yet, maybe you do, but bring then the singing feeling and the learnings from singing, bring them into your, next coaching environment as well. And maybe if I see you in Budapest, we can have a Ilka choir moment if Gabriela will let us.
Definitely. Yes, yes. Budapest, June 7th to 9th, International Language Coaching Conference coming up. So hopefully David will be there too. Looking forward to that, definitely. And everyone else who is here is cordially invited also to our live session starting February 21st for our field program, which is designed to support teachers transitioning into coaching. And before I get very carried away, I'm very, very enthusiastic about all the things that Ilka does. But thank you, David, very, very much. It was so enjoyable. I love that you actually, I said before when we were setting up, I'd love to hear you sing. And I did, so I'm just so happy about that. And I could see everyone kind of smiling. And, I think that the sound of the human voice is just so incredibly versatile, and the way that you could show us that flexibility, and that not necessarily the range, but just the way that we can approach the use of our voices.
Yeah.
And the sounds that we produce, the shush, and all that. I think it's really great. And what I'm looking for, everyone's saying thank you and all that, but any questions or anything that you're particularly happy to perhaps pass on to your learners, to your coachees. As you can hear towards the end of the day, my voice is completely dead, so I'm definitely going to be using these. But so if there's, we're hearing that it's practical and all that, but anything else here that you'd like to share, or a question that you have that you could ask David? I know I'm kind of curious about things like how you can really influence. So do you have a story for how you've definitely seen that you could impact someone's feelings or mood, or how they approached themselves simply by using a different tone, or when you notice something, you just switch? Do you have anything on that?
Definitely. I did see Carolyn's hand up. Did you want to ask a question first, Carolyn? Then we can circle back to that one.
Okay, yes.
It's actually the same one.
Okay.
Going back to the graphic that you had, and just Gabriela, do you have a story or an example? If you could just talk a little bit more about that, and yeah, and how you can generate a shift within the client by using, whether explicitly or implicitly, that graphic.
Yeah, sure. Which it was a particular slide you meant?
Yes,
Carolyn?
it was the one at the very end that it referenced. It was from Wikipedia. There.
Here, yeah. This is the Plutchik Wheel of Emotions,
Right.
which I use in my work with 6 Seconds, which we look at emotion intelligence certification with people. So to explain this wheel, or this flower, as it's often called, a little bit, you can think of emotions as being more or less intense. So there are no positive or negative emotions, but they're more or less intense. So I do work hard, I think, when I'm coaching, to recognize or take notice of what are the feelings happening for my coachee. What am I hearing? What am I sensing from them? Of course, in person, it's much easier to do. But then I might also think about, as we know in coaching, matching and mirroring. But what about vocally matching and mirroring a little bit? So I do pay attention to those in front of me when I'm not performing or up the front. And so I'm listening for, so if I work with CEOs, they want very short, clipped, right, give me the bullets, give me the feedback. I need to get on with it. Great. So my tone will change, Carolyn, to reflect in myself. Okay, right. So let's do it. Right. And one guy I'm working with, his name is Jürgen. Jürgen, yeah, no, that was wrong. great, thanks, David. And he appreciates that. I'm not sort of, I'm finding a balance both in my words, but I'm still encouraging. No, please do it this way. And then I might be able to be using a little bit more of the monotone, but then, moving in a direction. And it might be a little bit more of the downward direction, more serious in that moment. But I think the vocal variety is really the question that we have to bring in. So tying it into this idea of emotions is that our voices react when we feel things. So you know what it's like when you feel a sense of perhaps anger. So here on the graph, the inner circle here, according to Plutchik, are the basic emotions that we can feel. When they become more intense, so if you think about your voice when it's in fear, it might get very, very quiet, very shallow. Our facial expressions change. What about terror? Sometimes we might even feel mute. But what about if we feel apprehensive? So again, there's a change. In terms of the flower, they suggest thinking in opposites. So this is where they work here. For me, it's recognizing, I think, as I said, who's in front of me, what do they need, and how can I react vocally in order to demonstrate I'm doing the thing? And then I might be able to win them around. So I really do, I would say it's probably hyper aware, and maybe that's just me within myself, but I'm really focused and concentrating on how can I match where they need to be. I start from that point. If there's multiple people, then I also need to set an agenda for the room, maybe setting my emotion as well. Emotions are contagious. So therefore they come through our voices. So thinking about how do we show up? So if my voice is particularly raspy or a little bit underwhelmed, then I'm really focused on my breath. I'm really focused on my posture, because even my voice doesn't always feel great on certain days. So I focus on that power. But then at other times, I might need to also be vulnerable, as I said in the beginning, and also share. Yeah, I've had a terrible day, or things haven't gone so well for me. I'm here to focus on you, but I just need you to know that. So there might be a small admission. We're not making it about me, but sort of going towards, still creating that space for someone, but being able to share and asking them too, how do you feel today? People always assume I'm Australian, so I don't really care how people feel. I go, no, I 100% want to know how you feel. Or I ask, how much energy do you have today? Or I ask, what's happening in your life at the moment? Different ways to ask a question, as we know. And I'm taking what I feel is the emotional temperature of the room. I have students at Borgentland that have a whole weekend of classes. Sometimes I come in on a Saturday night at 6 o'clock. And I've got to teach storytelling tonight, That happened one year and they were like, we are dead. They'd been through, I don't know, wine law or something like that, hard topics. So I had to shift and say, right, let's now do something different. So we still did a version of storytelling, but it was in a different way from the lesson that I had planned. And so therefore I was able to sort of work on my feet, but then also give them energy. By the end, they were like, wow, I feel energized. And I knew it was my vocal impact because I was doing a little bit more upward inflecting during the sessions, not in a manipulative way, but in a natural way, in my voice, with me, you see. I hope that answers your question, Carolyn, in a way. And I see a few others coming in here now as well on our chat. So
there is one here from Monica. Any practical tip how we can use our voice to enhance client focus? So to actually create focus. Maybe I'm doing it now, I don't know.
Yeah, so think of the high, low, fast, slow again. We might need to be in a slightly, so if we want to create a bit of momentum, maybe a slightly faster pace, but we're not so high. We're moving into that lower, third level of our voice, but also, through our hands and our gestures. Right, we need to move through a little bit further now. Let's just pause and let's keep going. So sometimes with students, I have to say, please, everyone sit down. There's 20 students in the room. But other times, I guess, yeah, you might also call it out. Is this where you'd like to focus? I don't feel like, we're fully on the same page here at the moment. Could we agree to move forward in this direction, or do you want to go in another direction?
Mhm.
I sort of turn on the serious dial a little bit more. Does that help, Monica? So it's sort of finding within your vocal tone, going down a little bit more. But then, of course, when we get that focus, we move through, and we don't stay there. You see, we would finish the session perhaps on a different level.
Mhm.
So it's sort of being aware of, personally, I like to start at a high. Maybe you heard that at the beginning. Then we had a few moments there going in, trying things out, and then again finishing on a high. Nancy Duarte did a lot of work on presentation arcs and things like this. And so some of the ideas that I have come from her in the way in which we finish. It's her book Resonate in particular that I particularly enjoyed, where she talks about this, and she did it with the Steve Jobs speech in her TED Talk. If you want a sort of light version, but she's got a few TED Talks out that are worth listening to. And another person I'd recommend you listen and a little bit more of is Roger Love, Love, Roger Love, an American speech coach and voice coach. He was the one about the tones, the 3 levels of tone. That's from him. But it makes sense, because when you think about music, when it goes ba 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 in Beethoven's Fourth Symphony versus why does the tenor go vincero, and everyone goes crazy because he's upward inflecting. It's going up with the tone. All the tenor arias go up. All the soprano arias go up. Big high notes at the end. Baritones, all the gangsters and the criminal guys go down. They don't have as many high notes. They have low notes going down. So in music, we hear that. And the other example is that Schumann, I think, in Dichterliebe, he writes, Ich liebe dich. He doesn't, I love you. He doesn't write, Ich liebe dich. Even just the way I demonstrated it, you get a different feeling, right? It's very serious, like almost like depression love going down versus romantic, perhaps nice love going up. So it's really practice for all of you as coaches to try it out a little bit. But please don't go putting all the ideas in at once, because people around you will say, what are you doing? You sound weird. Just take one little bit here and there. A few, ooh, could be enough for you for tomorrow. And then you start to build in from there.
Okay, wonderful. So one step at a time. I know that we're really getting near the end, but would you use the Pluchik flower with a client or just refer to it? So do you take them in directly? Okay.
Yeah, I have it here, but I put out this map because I didn't want to have double map. So yeah, I use it. I have this as my regular picture. It looks good, but then I can also refer to it 100%. There are many, of course, other models of emotional intelligence or, emotions. There are over 3,000 words for emotion in English, but this is a nice place to start, and because it considers intensity as well. So if we take anger, when anger intensifies, we get rage. When it weakens, it becomes annoyance. And so you could look up Pluchik Wheel of Emotions, and there's some diagrams and stuff out there, some information. It's been around since the 70s, this model, when he came out with it through his research. A lot of other people, might say, well, this is not so current, but it's a nice framework to start with your coachees as well. Maybe getting them to identify, how do you feel today? They go, I don't know, I'm fine. That's the best response I usually get. How are you? I am fine. That doesn't tell me anything. I always say fine is in the middle. Unless my wife says I'm fine, then I know there's a problem. But otherwise, fine doesn't do much. So, but what else I'm wonderful. I'm feeling fantastic today. You see, so we're also modeling for ourselves. When they ask you, how are you? What do you say?
But are we not sometimes acting? So I was just, observing, and obviously you're doing a show here, so to say. But so when you're with a client and you kind of go with their flow, or you intentionally want to shift from one area to another, isn't that kind of like, okay, I'm going to do this now?
Yeah, it's not acting because it's still a version of you. So I get this question a lot, and of course people say, but you're all well and good, you're an opera singer. But I haven't been, I've been a language coach or a coach as long as I've been an opera singer now professionally. So the interplay is that, you know, I'm not asking you to display certain emotions on your face, doing anything with your hands and changing your voice. But we do have the opportunity to feel something in order to shift. You will recognize it in yourself. Something happens to you. You have to think, okay, what am I feeling? And then you might think, well, what are my options? And then you think, well, but what do I truly want in this situation? And so I think when we can have just that one step before as coaches to say, right, you know, how do I want to show up for my coachee? What do I need to feel in order to do that? How do I, you know, maybe become more present or more you know, more focused on them? How do I put aside my feelings and thoughts? You know, there is a little bit of that disconnect that can happen sometimes, to recognize then, okay, how can I best serve this person? So it's not so much a show. I mean, the more people you're interacting with, the more show-like it becomes. So at the conference, there'll be moments where people are presenting to 100 people. It'll be a performance. And then afterwards, you might speak to someone and say, oh, that person might have been a little bit different. But I often think it's just hats. It's just versions of us. And so the authenticity comes in when we can honestly say, this is what I'm feeling. And this is how I'd like to feel. So the bridge becomes, how do I get from one emotion to the other? Which is a whole nother session. We could do another talk in another time on emotional intelligence more deeply, if that's of interest to people, or at the conference, or at some point with Ilka. More than happy. But if you want to find out more, for instance, go to where I work with 6seconds.org, and you can start to at least get a little bit of information together for yourselves, if this is an important area for you to really think about. Thinking about leading with your own emotional intelligence can then help you to lead with others. And that's where, you know, if I jump back to my original model at the very beginning, that's why I said these areas for me all interlink. This is just my made up model, but you see today how we've explored a little bit of our emotions. We've thought about our language, our words, our word choices, and, you know, how we interact. And then we bring to that our voices. And so that's the way I help people, sometimes on voice with singing lessons and with vocal exercises, sometimes purely just on language with people who want to do something here, or, you know, years ago when I first started as a teacher, more so, you know, really giving the boy went to the shops kind of language instruction. But more and more as I worked with more advanced people, it becomes coaching, which is why I really love working with and learning from Ilka with you, Gabriella, because I now see this whole area of life where I can bring my coaching practice and my language practice and my vocal practice together in one model, for me. And that's my unique selling point, but maybe you have one too, all of you, where you would find this is what makes you unique and what you bring to others as well. So
This is your ikigai.
this is my ikigai, and I based it on the ikigai model. Yes, Venn diagrams, and because that's as technical as I get with slide design, because I can't afford a graphic artist.
Very good job. No, it's all good. And I think everyone's very, very pleased. There was immediately this. It would be wonderful if there'll be another webinar about emotional intelligence. I can't promise anything, especially not in your name, David, but we're sure looking forward to it, whatever you might be offering. So
Sure.
definitely, maybe at the conference, who knows? But I think we're really going to have to log off here. But thank you, everyone, for being very, very interactive. And perhaps next time, or I don't know, we'll see how all things work out, but I think it would be great for us to also share our stories. I know that in the field program I'm working with a group of lead students at the moment. One of them is here, and I think it's just an opportunity to reflect on what we are giving, to as a coach, to have that ability to stop and think, which of my selves am I going to use to support best. And I think that that's where our awareness has grown here, that there's this new range of possibilities, new options that we can also bring into our repertoire. So thank you very much for that, David. Thank you everyone for being
You're
here.
welcome.
And hopefully we meet next month in the next expert series talk. And David, thank you very, very much again. It was absolutely a pleasure. Thank you.
Pleasure, everyone.
Thank you everyone for being here. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.